Good morning, animal selection class. Hopefully, our week is going well. Haven't talked to you a whole lot in the last week as we went online. We are going to spend a little bit of time over the next day or two talking about DNA testing. We've been talking about animal selection. We've been talking last week. You hopefully were doing some reasons, found 4 animals, and you put a set of reasons together for me to turn in. Haven't seen many of those, so make sure you stay on top of that. Today I want to talk about animal selection as it refers to DNA and DNA testing. I put a few questions together, and I have a worksheet already put on Canvas for you to go through and try and answer and see if we can't learn a little bit about cattle DNA and selection. One of the first things I want to talk about is why we would DNA test cattle. Obviously, right? If I can see them, I can pick out the best one, and that should be good enough, right? That's the way my great-grandpa did it. Well, today when we are using EPDs, our expected progeny differences, they are giving us genetic predictors of how the offspring of those cattle are going to perform in our environment. And our DNA test gives us a better look. It's like adding 15 progeny to that animal's record. And we know progeny ups the accuracy the most and the fastest. So if we really want to be a progressive cattleman and have the best genetics, and really we're after genetics. When we look at them physically, we're looking at a phenotype. And we know that phenotype in terms of expression is partly genetics, but partly environmental. We can't, as an animal breeder, control the environment, but we sure can control some of the traits that we put into our herd. So, by DNA testing, we can actually look at where that animal ranks within the contemporary group of that set of cattle that's been tested. So it gives you a little better look. So where can we get a DNA test done? Probably the majority of the DNA tests are being done through the AGI labs out of St. Louis, Missouri. The Angus Association probably conducts, 75 or 80% of all the DNA tests. You can go to the lab in Iowa and a couple others. They're a little more complicated. If you just want to do a quick test, you go to the Angus site, you put DNA test, you scroll down there, you click on it, and then you can pick what DNA test that you want. These DNA tests are now mapping for about 50,000 alleles, and they're doing somewhere around 19 different traits. So we obviously know that each trait has more than one allele if they're mapping 50,000 of them, and it's only 19 traits. Which makes sense on our animals. We know that there are multiple alleles that make up traits. What are some of these traits that we can test for? Well, obviously, there is birth weight. We can test for birth weight and give an accurate prediction of the genetics of the change of that birth weight. Does that mean that we can say, if I use this, it's going to have a 75, 80-pound calf, whatever? Absolutely not. It's not going to tell you anything like that in terms of a hardcore measurement, meaning that calf's going to weigh 80 pounds. It's going to tell you where it ranks in terms of size of calf if the animals are on the same environment. We know based on environment, nutritionally, we can change a calf's birth weight by 5 to 10 pounds just on how we feed the mother. So it's not going to tell you that exact information, but it will tell you where it's going to rank on birth weight. And if I want lighter birth, then I want to get something that is higher in the percentage ranking. It also will tell me weaning growth, yearling growth, milk, docility, mature weight, carcass weight, mature height, fat thickness. Those kind of traits are all now calculated into that DNA score. And you're going to look them up, obviously, as you go through that worksheet, and you'll be able to list all of them off. What does this cost? Is it super expensive? Well, when you get to do exploring it, you're going to see that it's going to run somewhere between $37 to $50, depending on what company you go through. I go through the AGI lab with the Angus Association, and it's $37 a test. It's one of the cheaper places to go, and that's probably why I go through them, because I am borderline cheap, but very frugal. If I have really good cattle, I know the history, I have EPDs on them, do I really need to test them? Well, and that's a question a lot of people ask. But when we test them, it is like having 15 progeny born to that animal. So if I have a heifer, I can test her, and it adds to her accuracy by 15 progeny, which tells me so much in terms of reliability of that EPD number, because we know that EPDs can change over time. So this really helps out the accuracy and stabilizes that EPD so it will not change. So it really does add a lot to the value of that young animal, to where if I didn't have DNA, I would have to wait till that heifer was 10 or 12 years old and it had 6 or 8 calves to really know where her EPD and her accuracy level was going to end up. Now, can I test them at any age? Absolutely. From the day they're born, we can get a blood sample and send it into the lab. We can do the test through several different ways. There's 3 different ways we can test them. We can do it either through a blood test, where we get a little blood card, we put a spot of blood on it, and we send it to the lab. We can take tail hairs and we can put it in their little test kit, send it to the lab. We can take an ear core sample, put it in the red tube, and send it to the lab. So there are multiple ways that I can collect the sample. Me personally, I like the blood cards. It's easy. I can see the blood on the card. It has a target or a circle on it. You put the blood on the circle, and then you put the animal's name on the card, and you send it to the association. Very, very easily done. I think that it adds a lot to the accuracy and to the validity of the EPD. Do I think that it should be the only source of information that we use? Absolutely not. We know that different genetics will perform differently in different environments. So we still need multiple measures in order to pick the best animal genetically and phenotypically, and we need that combination still together. Hopefully this gave you a little insight, gave you an idea, and will help you along the way with your worksheet that you're going to complete and turn in. I have some sample DNA sheets for you to look at tomorrow. I'm going to put up on the screen, and you guys can fill them out. If you want to see more information on it, go to the American Angus Association website, and you can pull up all kinds of information about DNA and DNA testing, how it works, what it costs, what traits it measures, and how to read that. Good luck, and I will talk to you later.